What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Inside View. Today, Brian and I are going to be focusing heavily on the design industry. And although we have a great guest today who is a key player in the design industry here in Red Bank, New Jersey, we're first going to talk about the design of some of these beautiful timepieces that we've been selected to wear today from one of our partners at Leonardo Jewelers here in Red Bank, New Jersey. Leonardo was kind enough to lend us these watches to show and wear, and I'm thinking that maybe I might keep mine.
I was gonna say I don't want to take it off.
Yeah, I might keep it. You know, we're excited to be sporting these insane watches that you can see here. They're just incredible. The movement, the structure. Brian is going to tell us a little bit about the watches because he knows the history of.
I do. I'm a watch
timepieces.
guy, and so are you.
He's a watch guy, but
I just got my first watch box. I feel like at that point you've got to make sure you've got a nice assortment and collection.
Absolutely.
You know? So this is one that I certainly am looking forward to adding to it. This is the Ulysse Nardin, and 175 years old. Started in the 1800s. I mean, you're a boater, so you would appreciate this. I think, from my understanding, they actually developed clocks for boats at the time because if you think about the 1800s. Like, you've got your whole navigation system on your boat. They weren't doing that. I think one out of every 3 boats were lost at sea at this time. Yeah. So they really started that to, you know, help tell time for the boaters and then translate that to watches.
So that segmented them into the watch industry.
Into the watch industry.
Super cool.
Super cool. And if you look at the craftsmanship and just all the neat aspects of the watch itself, it's pretty awesome. And Leonardo Jewelers is really the only retailer not only in town, but in the entire state of New Jersey.
So you can only buy these at Leonardo Jewelers?
Unless you want to go to New York City.
Super cool. So I'm wearing what they call the Freak.
Yeah.
Which, for me, I love the name of this watch. I would think I would buy this watch just because it's called the Freak. And you're wearing, I believe, the Skeleton.
The Skeleton X, this is, yeah.
Which you can clearly see.
Everything's
You can see through the skeleton, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I just can't stop looking at it. And you've got a nice piece of jewelry also.
I do.
Leonardo.
I'm also wearing a piece that I purchased recently at Leonardo. This is a David Yurman gold necklace, 18 karat
compass,
gold,
right?
With a compass, which I love because I am a boater, and now I always know what direction I'm heading in. So it's good.
So Leonardo Jewelers, I mean, they are awesome. They're a family-run business. They've been 50 years, I believe.
50 years.
They've been 35 years here in Red Bank. They've got everything. Watches, jewelry. They do in-house, you know, you name it. So definitely would highly recommend to check them out. I don't think you and I have ever walked into the store and now walked out with something.
Yeah, it's dangerous. You might want to make sure that you don't walk in there with your wife or your girlfriend. You might just want to go by yourself the first time. It's probably a good idea. But yeah, you can head over to the store in Red Bank and you can check out one of these amazing watches. You can pick up a Freak while you're there.
Yeah.
Or maybe even a new necklace. But so we're going to shift gears. And now that we've talked a little bit about the design of watches, we're going to introduce our first guest today, which has an amazing background in the design world. She designs retail. She designs residential. She's a phenomenal designer. And
she designed our office.
She designed our office, which we'll talk about just as soon as we introduce her. So
and we'll show a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about their concept as well, which is pretty unique for for the design center itself.
Absolutely. So without further ado, we've got Amy with the Red Bank Design Center. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
So great to have you. So you guys are like best friends now, I feel like. I've known you guys for a while. You're business partners. Tell me, how did this whole relationship come about? Because it's beautiful.
Well, it's actually a really cool story because we came full circle. I was the client who didn't think I needed a designer, and I took over. I was renovating my home, and I thought I could do it myself.
As do most of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
And then one day I was picking out tile right in this building with Donna from Tiled Interiors. And she said, you know, if you ever need a designer, I know this, you know, Amy Manor's the girl. And I was like, okay, I put it in the back of my head. One day I literally had like a meltdown. I couldn't pick out knobs. And I called Donna. I said, who was that person? And so Amy became my designer. Wow. And then we became friends. And then I became her bookkeeper. when she was Amy Manor Interior Designs. And then she had this great idea to open up a design showroom in Monmouth County. And we partnered up to do that, and here we are today.
That's amazing. I love it. And
I didn't
you
know
guys-
that they started here in the Galleria, though. That's
No,
pretty
that-
No,
cool.
no, I
pretty
picked
cool.
out my. That's how
how
Donna
they
works
met.
Yeah,
here.
that's how they met. Yeah,
that
I
is
know
how
that's
we met.
Now they're here at the gallery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
full circle.
So it's all
Yeah.
full circle. Yeah.
So how long have you guys been working together now?
In 2008.
2008?
when
Yeah.
she was Amy Manor Interior Design,
13
and then we
years.
opened
Wow.
up in 2014. We opened
That's
up.
amazing. So, Amy, what you're doing is a little bit different than most designers. You know, you've referred to yourself in different contexts as a general designer.
Correct.
You're really trying to reshape the industry here. Tell us a little bit about that and what
Yeah.
you're doing that's so different.
So I think our industry just being one of the hurdles as being called an interior designer, we were always asked, the question of, oh, well, can you help us with the outside? And can you help us pick out the hard materials during the construction phases? And so a lot of the times when we come in just doing the soft interior phase, it's things have already happened in the home that sometimes limit the client, and sometimes the decisions that are being made are not in line with the furniture and the things, the function, their style, and their budget ahead of time. So just to squash, that hurdle, we trademarked the GD, which is the general designer, and that is the client's advocate. That when they have a builder or an architect, that we come in early on and we help them pick out the hard interiors, the kitchen, the flooring, stair rails, bathrooms, siding, all the things that would go into building a home or renovating a home. And then with that in mind, we can put their actual furnishing and soft interior into a plan at the same time. So when they're making their decisions for all of the materials, it's stickier. They're confident that they're picking a floor that is going to work with all the other things that go along with the home. For instance, a lot of times when a home is built, they'll put lighting in the home. And the lighting is dictated based on, the center of the room, or a light is centered within a doorway.
Sure.
Or they'll do recessed lighting, around the room. But then after the fact, they do a built-in, and now the recessed lighting is too close to the built-in. Or you put a table, that's closer to a window, and where they centered the light fixture is now not over the table.
Yep. I've actually had this happen
Yeah.
recently myself with building a new home, and we thought we did everything right. And there's things that you go back and you look at and you're like, wow, we did the lighting prior to us figuring out, for example, the living room. We wanted to pull the living room back, and it ended up going into more of the hallway, if you will. So now the lights are centered with the living room, but not with our living room. So these are
Exactly.
things that happen to
So
the
you're
average.
coming in day one.
We want to come in day one, and also it's truly a missing position, because the person, like Lori just said, is who's doing this job. It's usually the client. The builder asks the client, okay, now it's time for paint colors. Now it's time for you to pick the doors and the knobs and your tile.
Sure.
And they don't know what the rest of the room is going to look like. So it's very difficult to pick things for your home.
But what I did and what people do is they ask the advice from their contractor,
Yes.
which is the worst
Who
thing
knows
you can
nothing.
do. Who knows
Right.
nothing? And then I
Right.
started asking the subcontractors, like,
Are
well,
they
what do you
giving you
think of
advice?
this? What do you? They give you advice,
Of course
but
they
it's
give you advice.
But is it
Yeah, you
solid?
guys,
So-
No.
they're giving you the easiest advice
they're
for
just
them.
giving
Just
you
keep
whatever.
going.
Yeah, that's good. That's yeah. Use that paint color. They don't know. They
Right.
just-
Oh, this
Yeah.
is a very popular color. These lights are great. Just, you go center with the room. I mean,
Yeah,
everything
they're
is
not
just-
Yeah,
designers.
right.
They're good at what they do, and the designers are good at what they do.
Yeah, and in actuality, back in the day, there weren't a lot of options. So a lot of builders would have selections that a client could pick their cabinet color. Maybe there was 3 choices. So now the choices, there are so many choices in design that they cannot fulfill those needs for the client. So they can bring someone like us in that can help to, source those products for them, or help the client make, decisions. And then at the same time, we're also giving them a budget for the soft interior, which usually isn't thought of.
Right.
They build a home and then they run out of money,
Yep.
and then they don't have the money for the furniture. Or so it's getting in earlier on, so you make decisions, less change orders. The process is more streamlined, and then also your home is more unique in design. So typically, a builder may say a chair rail in a dining room with a coffered ceiling, but if we did a wallpaper on the ceiling and no chair rail, that's money in their pocket, right? So they're not doing millwork, let's
More
say,
trim work.
everywhere.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And
Which can really add up.
which adds up. So sometimes it's looking at the house as a whole, from the inside out instead of the
love
outside
it.
in.
So by working with somebody like yourself, they're actually in the long run saving money. It sounds like, because they don't have to make up for mistakes that might be made down the road had you come in early enough.
That's a great point. So
Yeah.
when would the client potentially, the best time to reach out would be? At what point in the process? After engineering and architecture is complete?
No. So we like to get involved early on before they pour the foundation, because we've manipulated. So we'll work hand in hand with the architect. We'll get the footprint of the house and then meet with the client and then look at with those constraints of the footprint. So we're not redoing
Sure.
what the architect did. We're actually coming in and making the adjustments so the client is happy with what they build, and then the builder gets a complete floor plan so they can move forward. And the other addition that I find, especially going back to lighting, is that a lot of times they'll put a light in just for code, just to sell the house, and they don't spend a lot of money on the light. But if you're putting a light in, you're paying for the electrician to hang the light, and then I go into these beautiful new homes and they want to change all the lights. So they paid for the light that got hung.
Yep.
Now we have to pay someone to take it down,
Yep.
and now we have to put in the new light. So you're basically paying for the labor 3 times, and then sometimes the box that they put in isn't the right weight. So now we're
Or
changing.
where you want it, perhaps.
Yeah, or where you want it. So all of those costs add up, and if you
Monkeys.
and if you can think about
Tell
it
ya.
before you close the
No,
house,
but you're absolutely
yeah,
right.
you can
Who
even
thinks
roll
about
that into the mortgage, right? So that's a huge benefit.
Absolutely.
Wow.
That someone that's redoing all the lighting of their home after the fact, it's cash out of their pocket.
Yeah.
If we know this ahead of time, then they can roll that into their mortgage and save money that
Yeah.
way too.
So I got a question for you, and before I do that, for those of you out there, it's 11:15. This time check has been brought to you by Leonardo Jewelers.
Ulysses.
So our next question is: you have a space that has been completely transformed. You have vendors doing everything in this space, from kitchens to flooring companies and bath. I mean, you have everybody under one umbrella,
Yeah.
which is brilliant. So
Yeah.
tell us about that whole process and what a client can expect when they come into your storefront.
Right. So I would probably say around 2008, when the market crashed. A lot of the artisans went to China, and so a lot of the design centers were losing their vendors. They weren't able to pay for the high rents and to staff them, and the design centers would be in major cities. So I felt that 60 miles outside or 60 minutes outside of any design center could be a design center like ours. So a client can come in and sit and touch and feel, experience the furniture that they're buying. Retail stores were closing. There was nowhere for anyone to go to buy things. So we wanted to create a place that a client could come in and just experience design, but then also have a place for a vendor to speak to, let's say, 20 designers at a lunch and learn and talk about their line, versus going to 20 offices and cutting 20 different catalogs.
Yeah.
Right.
And then these designers have to also have minimums. So in order for them to have the line, they have to buy into the line.
Right.
They have to buy, let's say, a certain amount of product to go on a sales floor. So some designers work out of their home. They don't have a showroom to put anything on. So by us pooling together and ordering together, we become a relevant account. So we're
So
able,
smart.
we're able to increase our margins by actually reducing our expenses.
That's great.
Yeah, so the designers also, for the clients, they get more options as well, because if a designer, let's say, has 5 lines and they make the minimums of those 5 lines, then they don't have the money to then open 200 lines.
Right.
So if that client finds online like this fabulous Baker chair, and Baker, the minimum for that year is $100,000, how do they sell that client a chair?
They can't.
They can't. And so then that's not fair to the client who really wants that chair.
Yeah.
So what we do is we just pool together our orders, and so we're more efficient to the vendors. We catch the low-hanging fruit. So the vendor that doesn't want to service a designer that is only buying one chair a year, but if I have 80 designers each buying a chair,
Right.
then that's an account.
Yep.
Right.
So we're also
love it.
able, to kind
love
of,
it.
the client benefits, the vendor benefits as well.
Yeah. And it's a great experience as a client who's walking in off the street and looking to start the design process. It's a place where they can go and they can, like you said, touch and feel, and it's a hub for everything.
And they can meet our partners too that are experts. So we have audio-visual company,
Yep.
we have a real estate company, we have a kitchen company, we have a ventless fireplace company, art. So, and it's all, there's an expert in that to talk to them directly.
That's great.
And then,
Right.
that we have vetted. So
Yep.
It's a one-stop shop, basically.
Yeah, and I think for just to go into the infinite audio-visual, back in the day, interior designers were considered a luxury or expensive.
Sure.
And when you look at a home, it's your largest asset. Maybe you've built one other home and maybe you're going to build another one. So we get clients that have said, I've made these mistakes with my other home and I've learned. And to me, that's upsetting because it's your largest asset and people get, more advice picking out a nail polish color,
Isn't that
right? They're like, what color should I do? And they, they need help. And so when I think about your home, we want the clients to feel and validate. If they want us just to pick a paint color, well, that's a big decision. That affects every single room in the house.
Absolutely.
And we'll
A
go
warm
into,
or, a cool,
or
there's a
changes.
thousand
And the way
different
you
whites.
feel.
I just learned how many different whites there are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did not know. I thought white was just white.
Right. Yeah. So
There's-
Are
just
there more colors now? Like, did we
There's,
just
there's
start
more
inventing
colors.
co-
We
did we
started
just
inventing
invent them,
colors.
or
there's-
I don't know what's going on.
And wait, but you could also get a color, and then you can go 80% with this and 20% with this.
That's true. White is not white anymore, yeah.
The most
Yeah.
bizarre
Or nothing
process
is what it seems.
I've
Yeah.
ever experienced in my life.
Yeah, so that to me, when someone goes into a home and it feels good to them and it's their friend's home and they say, oh, well, what paint color did
Yeah.
you use?
Oh, forget it. Yeah.
We would rather have you hire us so we can come up with your paint color.
Right.
Right.
It does
Because your
beat-
paint color might not be the same.
Yeah.
It depends on your lighting in your home. It depends on how much natural sunlight you get. There's so many variables.
Well, it's also keeping your home unique in design. So
Right.
we get a comment from a new client that they visit our website, and they'll say, I look at the gallery photos, and they say, I don't see anything that fits my style. And I usually say it's because you haven't hired us yet, right? So it's the tip of the iceberg. So when we look at just this room here, there's a story to tell, right?
Sure.
The room, it has a lot to do with your company, your branding,
Yeah.
how you wanted to feel in the room. So we want to come up with what that design is going to be for your client. So we're really a blank palette until we meet the client, until we
Understand their needs.
Yeah, their needs, their budget, and then we come up with a plan for them.
Well, that's a great transition.
I was gonna say, that's also
because
a segue.
we really, we want to talk about this beautiful space that I think our viewers have seen now for over the last year.
Well, they've seen a little bit of the wall.
They've seen
but
the-
maybe just to take a rewind and bring the viewers back. When we moved into the space.
About a year and a half ago.
Yeah, right before COVID hit, and this office was nothing the way it is
No.
today.
Nope.
It was a storage room with
It was a
makeup,
storage
room.
with makeup supplies. Or
And as much
yeah.
as you and I think that we're pretty good at design, we needed an expert.
We did. So we
So-
hired them.
yeah.
And we did an amazing collaboration
Yeah.
on this space, and we'd love to show you guys what Amy and her team did here. So while we're sitting here, maybe we can start with some of the wall that was hand painted by one of your amazing artists.
Yeah, Janelle. Janelle took inspiration from Tremaine, who's one of our designers, and I think, the play on just, the way art is now, and the graffiti art is really, it's
Sure.
it's not just trending, it's really timeless, and it's a great backdrop. But then there's some hidden things
There
in your
is.
wall.
So we could talk about that because we've
you could
actually
tell us.
never ever disclose this, but in this wall, you've got quite a bit going on here. You've got some artwork here that is actually printed on my back. Much larger scale of that beautiful piece of art right there. You've got a piece of art that's actually printed on.
Oh yeah, right here.
On
Your chair usually
let me
blocks.
go ahead and roll my chair out of the way here so that we can show everybody. Oh, you're gonna be doing beer roll of all this. We've also got some inspiration on just the color scheme here of the zen and the beauty of culture and bringing all these colors to life and faith and fear and all of these just inspirational type of feelings that we get here when we sit in the studio.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the furniture that's in this room, because I think you guys did an amazing job at mixing, matching some of the pieces that are in here.
Right. So Hudson Valley, I did all the lighting here, and we loved the lights because we thought that they were just mini microphones.
They do look like
which
microphones.
We thought was really kind of cool. And sometimes subliminally, as we work with a client, we'll look. I've seen this light multiple times, but I've never actually used it. And that's the beauty of design. When you meet the client, then that actual piece of furniture then
it makes sense for somebody.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the artwork and the TV, I think, is really cool with Infinite Audio.
Infinite Audio did an amazing job.
You can
Sometimes
have.
you forget that that's a TV.
You forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually forget it's TV because it's been a piece of art on my wall. I barely turn it on to
doesn't
actually
use
watch
it.
it. So it's just been a really nice piece of art for
Yeah.
quite some time.
And that's really was a big, hurdle for designers, because now clients want to have TVs in every room, even in bathrooms, and to be able to, or in a kid's room, that
Right.
we don't want them to use yet, but it can be a computer as well.
Sure.
And also to think about the capabilities of what you can do early on. So when you're building a home and you want to wire the walls for the future, when we get in and all the walls are closed,
It's impossible.
it's harder and it's more expensive, and you have
Yes.
less options.
It's possible.
Yes.
It's just more
And
expensive.
yeah, and
It's
the
a
smart
nightmare.
and the
Yeah.
smart
Start breaking the
technology
walls,
now it's a necessity, where
Absolutely.
back when we were doing this, it was still considered a luxury.
Yep.
Everyone wants to be able to turn things off and see things via their phone.
Right.
They're traveling, they're working from different locations, and so what we feel was a luxury, similar to interior designers, is really a necessity. Yeah.
Sure.
Now, out in the main office here, you guys put together this amazing wall as well that has this texture on it, and it has a quote that's written in it. Do you know what the quote is, Brian?
You put me on the spot here.
So I actually forgot the quote.
Cherish.
Cherish today.
No, cherish yesterday.
Cherish
live
yesterday. Live for today. Dream
Tomorrow.
for tomorrow.
Yeah.
That is the quote. How did Janelle go about this texture in this wall here? What was the process? Because this is a really cool piece.
Right. So our materials are constantly evolving, and that's in design, which is why the design center is so important. We do something called a concept meeting, which is the first meeting with our clients. And what we do is we give them exposure to the world of our design. And there are just so many different applications now that people just aren't aware of. When you look at Instagram and you get a feeling, or a room or something that you see, there's so much more. It's the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
And so that happened to be a concrete texture, similar to a stucco, but a lot easier to use. And it's very durable for commercial space. So if you want to take an old building like this, and instead of putting new sheetrock in it, kind of putting back a little bit of the old, feeling of a fresco finish, of just, the beauty of a wall just kind of crumbling, and that old feeling that you can't buy those things. So that was kind of our intention, was to bring that texture into the space, and then the subliminal hidden, message.
Messaging.
It's not in your face, but
so
it's
subliminal
just,
that I forgot
Yeah, you did. You forgot.
So
I forgot.
And then the functionality of the space.
Right. That was the most important
out
for
here
us.
is phenomenal. You introduced these long tables, which we decided to make one even longer table, which is so great for collaborating.
Yeah.
And then you've also got this double-sided sofa, which
If only you had a video of bringing that in, right?
Yeah, if only we had a video of bringing that in.
I do have a video. We had just saw it.
Cutting it in half and
did.
putting it back together again.
Yes.
But the way that this space came together it's remarkable, and we get compliments every time that people walk in. So kudos to all of the vendors that participated, Hudson Lighting, all the furniture vendors, and your artists, and of course you guys for making this incredible.
Thank you.
So, well, this was a lot of fun. I think we learned a lot about design, and you guys hopefully learned a little bit about hiring a designer and not waiting until you cross the bridge of no return.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us, ladies.
Thank
It's been a
you.
pleasure.
For having
Thank you,
us.
Brian.
It's
Thank
so
you.
nice to
Thank
sit in
you.
this beautiful room.
It is,
Actually.
right? We're going to have a
Yeah.
cup of coffee after this.
Okay.
And from all those watching, thanks for joining us. And remember, it's all about the view.
We'll see you next time.
We'll see you soon.